Hello everyone, welcome back to 2-Hit KO episode 9. I of course am OGalbina, your host, joined by my co-host, Mr. King L5. Say hello.
That's me. Hello. It is me, the King L5.
The King L5, not
Yep.
Queen L7.
Mr. The King L5.
Of course. And then we're joined by our guest today, Burger, new content creator, professional player, and really cool italics on our little doc here right now, as described by Wall Street Journal. Do you want to introduce yourself, Mr. Burger?
Yeah, that's me. So I'm a new content creator, and I'm a professional player. The Wall Street Journal, that's me. I describe myself as a professional player. But yeah, I'm Burger.
Do you work for Wall Street Journal too? If the Wall Street Journal describes you and you do, or is it just you guys agree on that?
No, it's just we agreed on it.
That's fair. We came to a consensus that I'm very professional. All right. Well, with that being said, we're just going to kind of jump right into the news and everything like that and get things rolling. As we talked last time, we have Draft League World Cup rolling right along. L5, Burger, you're both playing. Do you want to give us any updates on what's going on, how we're looking, if anybody's locked for playoffs?
Yeah, so right now the doc is not updated all the way, so it's a little bit hard to tell what the entire playoff picture is right now. But currently, US West and Canada are locked. I know that for sure, because that's my group and I actually looked into it. And then Austria and Eastern Europe are just playing for funsies at this point. Neither of them can make it. But yeah, we play for seeding, us in Canada. A top 6 gets a bye, so there is something to play for, at least. So look at some of the other ones. Is Bangladesh locked?
No.
Did they win? They drew.
Bangladesh is 1-1, actually, right now. I'm not sure.
1 win, 1 draw, I think. Was it?
Yeah, I think they're 1 win, 1 draw.
And you're Northeast, right, Burger?
Yeah, Northeast, and we're 1 win, 1 loss right now.
Oh, so you guys won this week then?
Yeah, we won this week.
Okay.
China is also 1 win, 1 draw, so we're technically in 3rd place right now, but
So you got to overtake China, basically.
yeah, we need to overtake.
Good luck
You
with that.
you guys lost to them too in the head-to-head, right? In week 1.
Yeah.
We lost to China. We didn't let Chinese.
And then rest of the world, how did they end up doing? I know obviously they got kind of upset in the first week, right? But did they end up doing better in week 2, or are they looking?
Did they play the rest of their games? I think they did, right?
No, I don't think they did yet. Actually, they should have by now. Actually,
I was gonna say
They're not on
it's
the-
Sunday night as of recording, so I hope so.
When's the deadline for this?
I mean, it's 12 o'clock my time. I don't know if the
Wait, the deadline already passed. Did they
both
post
play
it?
their games. I'm checking right now. Gypsy won and Habada won. Okay, so rest of the world won.
Rest of the world
Okay.
won. Okay, so
Yeah,
they're
we're still back.
and who do they beat? Was it Latin America,
India.
Brazil? They beat India. Okay, so do Latin America and Brazil play in the final week? I'm assuming they do. Yeah.
I have no idea, honestly. I only looked deeply into my own group.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So potentially rest of the world sneaks in, which is crazy. I mean, Northeast and rest of the world being winless going into the second, or not winning their first week and
That
kind of
looks
fighting is pretty crazy. Otherwise, is there any other standout either upsets? I know US West and Canada, they're obviously both very good and they're performing well. We talked about Northeast and rest of the world. Is there anybody else that's kind of underperforming? I see Midwest and UK at the bottom of their group. I mean, their group's pretty strong in general, right? But no, Midwest was probably expected to be the 3rd team here, but UK probably not.
Okay, so Latin America went 6-2 in their second week, so they're by
They
far
smoked.
guaranteed playoffs.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
on that team? Is there any notable names I
Oh, they
know, or are they
actually-
just dark horses going crazy right now?
Let me see.
I
So
know
their
they have-
starting roster, they have Zeden, Renegade, Gondra, Mr. Banana, Apache Romero, Tara 25, Luromen, and Vanga Banga. I recognize
Vanga.
2 of those names.
I know Vanga. That's the only
reckon-
name I know there.
And Gondra is a good Smogon player.
Oh wow,
The rest
that's
I don't
cool.
really know.
Yeah, and they're smoking everybody. That's actually
They
really
smoked
dope.
Brazil, and then they also smoked India week 1, I think. So they play rest of the world in week 3. So
That's a tough one for
rest
rest of the world.
has
Yeah.
to- yeah.
It was funny to say because Brazil, last week they kind of destroyed rest of the world, and then this week they got absolutely demolished by Latin America.
Yeah.
It was and
Hey,
now
everyone can beat everyone. you
Yeah,
know?
everyone's going
It
crazy.
is indeed draft league, and Latin America's super locked. And I mean, if they smoke rest of the world, they probably pretty much secure a bye. I mean, even if they win, they probably just secure a bye with how good they did in the first two, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. So
definitely strong.
Group E, let me see. So UK drew their second week, so they really have to win to have any hope to get into playoffs. And they have to win by like probably a good margin, right?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on, did US South or Portugal lose in this game? Because if they didn't, then aren't they just kind of screwed?
Portugal lost, and Portugal lost, and US South won, I believe.
Okay, so US South is pretty much locked, and they're one of the top teams, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, they should make playoffs pretty comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Or did US
It looks like US South drew with UK.
Drew.
Oh wow,
that's what it was.
And that's good that UK played US South at least this week, right? It means you don't have to smoke US South in your final week going in, but I mean,
they really have to beat Midwest this next week. I think that's who they play. Because they have to pass two groups, right? Or two teams.
Two teams, yeah, because UK is a strong roster. They got really. I think they had the most unfortunate series week 1. A lot of their games got kind of.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't watch all their games this.
And then
week,
they had a really tough matchup week 2. It's just a tough. And that's how it is in these kinds of tournaments, right? It's like you really need to beat the people you're supposed to beat, and if you don't, because of whatever reason, it's not looking good. You know.
Yeah, a little bit rough, yeah.
Shout out Northeast.
Hey. You know what? It happens. It happens. And then you guys are pretty. What's your guys' playoff hopes looking like? Because you said you won this week at least, right?
Yeah, we won this week, and we play against Bangladesh next week. So I believe if we just beat Bangladesh, we should be fine.
Yeah, because did Bangladesh lose this week, right?
Yeah, Bangladesh, I know they tied this week.
Okay.
But as long as we beat Bangladesh,
you'll jump them.
I'm
you'll
assuming
either
China will beat Germany, because Germany hasn't been performing very good. So we might get second in our group, but I think we're looking good.
You just gotta make it out, you know. At that
I think
point.
it's like winning in, right? Because if you win versus Bangladesh, you'll have the tiebreak at least versus them. It looks like, and then it'll be you and China moving on. But we'll see. Obviously.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes up. I mean, by the time we do our next episode, it's gonna be in the middle of playoffs. So
by the time we do our episode, it should be after the bye week.
Oh, okay, so it might be going right
in.
Yeah. So like the wild card round, 8. Basically, yeah. Cool.
All right.
Any other big performances of note before we jump on to the next? Yes. No.
Probably if it were.
I think it's kind of like UK has not been as good as expected. That's the biggest
they were
one.
expected to be one of the better teams, right? Like Addison.
They did manage to draw. They managed to draw their series, but they were not favored to do so at any point in that series, to be honest.
Oh, really?
It was
just like a big
for a long time.
Like a big clawback.
Yeah, they were down. They were down.
And then how are their top players performing, right? Because I know we saw iPro get pretty unlucky on your stream in his week 1 game, but he's obviously a great player. Addison Blitz is also on the team, right? Another good player. And then there's anybody else.
Like this week, Addison kind of choked, didn't see a win path. She was pretty upset about it. And then iPro just kind of got smoked in the neutral by Harris. Like it can happen.
That's a big match. That's a tough matchup, though. Yeah, I mean that's not like a how do you not win?
If you're
Harris
the UK, you have to win like pretty much all of your top 5 player matchups if you want to like win the week.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Alrighty, on to the next. We have BBL. We have officially the playoff picture. I think I accidentally flashed the standings before I was supposed to in the last episode, but it's okay now because we don't have like the playoffs on the dock. We have our playoff matchups going into round 1. So a lot of times in these Wi-Fi leagues, for those of you who don't watch them a lot, a big thing in the last year, and I think we were actually the first league to do it in BBR, and I think it's a lot of fun, especially for like these more like viewer experience type of things, is we try to incentivize getting the highest seed possible. Reason being, a lot of times in these Wi-Fi leagues, if you clinch by week 6, you're 5-1, you'll see a lot of people kind of phoning in, and that's really boring. Whether it be, as the viewer, or it could be frustrating as a player trying to sneak into playoffs and number 1 seed isn't trying because they're already locked and they don't really care where they're at, matchup-wise and things like that. So what we do, typically in the Wi-Fi scene in Generation 9, is 1 through 4 seeds, they'll have a little mini like draft for their first round of playoff matchups. 4 seed doesn't really get to pick, they just kind of get the scraps, but I mean, I guess it's better than being picked into a bad matchup is the way I see it. But so basically, Shuckle King ended with the first seed. He got to pick his round 1 opponent from the 5 through 8 seeds. He ended up picking Kyle A, which ended up being what, you would usually see. But there is a little bit of variance. So he's playing Kyle A in round 1. Viz ended up picking Pokegame, actually. So not picking the 7 seed, picking the 6 seed. I think he just wanted the smoke with Joey. I don't think they've played in a minute. So that'll be a fun one, too. Two really fun players to watch. Obviously, Joey is great. Viz is really solid on Wi-Fi as well. I mean, he won the last league he played in the WPF. I think he played WPF and won last season for their Wi-Fi division and did really, really well there, and he's killing it this season too. Just really unconventional, like, in my opinion, just traditionally bad Mons. I mean, like, in Ubers, we're drafting, like, Skyman and guys like that, and at first, I kind of discounted the team. I was like, this isn't very good, but he's played really, really well this season, so that's one I'm super excited to watch. I got 3rd seed, just because my diff wasn't as good as Viz's, and I ended up picking the 5 seed in Jason, Diet Tight. I really hated my matchup into the 7 seed in Obo. I didn't deal with Groudon Sun at all, so I ended up picking Jason. We'll see if that ends up biting me in the ass, because I picked the 5 seed as the 3 seed, and then John got the leftover in Obo, and they're, for those of you who don't know, really close friends IRL. I mean, they live within 5 minutes of each other. They grew up together from like 2-3 years old up, so whenever they play, it's always fun because there's a bunch of shit talk, which is always a good time. So yeah, so definitely a good time. Yeah, and I mean, they could just pull up and play in each other's fucking living room and talk shit if they really wanted to, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's the playoff picture. You can obviously see also our kill leaders on the side here too. Big Tera getting a kill leader for Nexus, which is cool. I know he just missed out on playoffs by a couple games there. Big improvement, honestly, from him. I mean, he would have beat me if he didn't kind of forget my Terra type and things like that. But he played really well. John's Boulder getting 2nd. All Terramons all the way through the top 5. And then we have 2 Ubers and Obo's Groudon and my Dialga. But, I mean, the Terramon's still proving to be better than the box art Brokens and things like that. So, yeah, should be...
No, right? Because your Terra users tend to be setup sweepers in this meta.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
What are you trying to win with? Your setup sweeper. So naturally they're going to have more kills, even if they're not quite as good, like in a 1-for-1 kind of thing. Oh,
for sure. I mean, you can look at the Terra guys too at the top. It's Ments, DD, Moxie, Bullshit, Boulder, which is like booster, SD, and 99% of matchups. The Luna, I think, is pretty interesting because I don't traditionally think of that mono as very good. It's not bad, but like, to waste the Terra resource on it, I'm like, especially because this league we just did 1 Terra to kind of keep things simple for a lot of the Wi-Fi coaches who have not done free Terra preview, so we kind of like eased them into it and just did 1 Terra captain, pick something cool, there's attacks to it. I remember post-draft I was like, Luna? I don't know. I feel like there's better guys we could have done, especially on hyper offense, but this thing fucking did really well. This brought a lot of like Spadef bulk up stuff, and it was impossible for teams to kill. I mean, I remember explicitly one game Keegan had like Specs Lunala, and it was like Terra Water. He clicked Moongeist and it did like 15%. It was fucking insane. Like, it did no damage at all. So that was a really cool one to see. And Gambit being the front
hyperbole never hurt anyone, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm 15 might be a little bit.
Ursa Luna, right? In World Cup, the last year one, US West had a Terra Ursa Luna. It was actually really nice to build with, I have to say. So I know a lot of people on our team really rate it highly. We really wanted to have one, but didn't have the space. Yeah, it's not something you see commonly at all. Like in this current World Cup, there's only 1 drafted total. I don't know if it's even Terra, but obviously Viz proved it's a great threat. And I know I was watching a few of the games like early season, and the Skyman for like the first like 3 or 4 weeks only clicked Healing Wish into Ursa Luna every time.
And the funny thing is like he didn't, obviously he's 7-2. He played really well this season.
Yeah.
He won every game because of the Skyman clicking Healing Wish. He drafted like 20 points, fastest Scarf Healing Wish humanly possible. It works really well every single time into that guy. So, I mean, even the Deoxys didn't do much for him. He missed like 27 Psycho Boosts. He had Deoxys attack that's supposed to kill everything, right? I think the first 3 Psycho Boosts he clicked all season, he missed all 3, and it just got 1 shot and fucking died. So,
I mean...
yeah, really, really funny. And again, really cool that he did so well, considering he just didn't get the same output from his Ubers that other people did, like at least offensively, right? So, yeah.
The thing, like, it's so low defenses. Like, I'm helping aim prep, of course, and he was like, what if we brought SD Quick Attack's Glide Score, because it actually just one-shots Deoxys.
I used you attack and
insane.
It one
Yeah,
shots.
it's bad.
with
I
quick
remember
attack.
using it, and
Oh
like
my God.
you have to EV for quick attacks every week. It's insane.
Yeah.
I remember in Gen 7 in Ubers League, I had Deal Attack, and I was playing into like a Terrakion when people thought Terrakion was good, and I was like, I think I had to invest a considerable amount to live Choice Banded Quick Attack after Rocks or something like that, like a very considerable amount of defense, and ended up coming too. So it was like the correct bring, but yeah, pretty silly stuff. But yeah, exciting season so far. I think we have some really fun matchups too for round one. I think there's some really cool ones. The Viz Pokemon one is going to be really cool in particular. I think it's cool when someone like uses this system to not just play the 7, like 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, because that happens a lot of time. You know, it just ends up working out that way. But you know, Viz called a shot. He said, I want to play the big dog, Mr. Pokegame. So that'll be cool. But yeah. Next up, we have ORAS Cup starting. Burger, you're playing in this as well, right? You wanna give us a shout out to what you grabbed in round 1? Maybe a little sneak peek teaser.
So if this guy King L5 did not do a stream about Mega Gardevoir, my third pick, I think I could have gotten it at third pick, but unfortunately it went first.
You sold our draft.
I was third pick, yeah. So the second pick went Mega Medicham, so I got a Lando T, which
Nice.
I mean Lando T. I like Mega Guard, but I love building with Lando T. I think it's so easy to build around. You can just get a bunch of really good stuff with it. It just makes like a super solid team in ORAS. Probably the best Scarfer, probably the best Rocker. So two great things in ORAS.
It's hard to go wrong with Gen 6 or 7 Lando. It's very hard to go wrong with that guy. He's incredible in those games. I also got it, and I also would have gotten a Mega Gardevoir if King L5 didn't show Mega Gardevoir being broken. People didn't know about that guy, and he put him on.
I know.
You know?
It was like 12 points.
Dude, he
like,
saw
right
me
before it
beating. He saw me beating J Scurf with it. He's like, "Owen beat a top 5 player, J Scurf. It must be the Mon.
Yeah.
We got to show him off, you know."
True.
L5, have you picked already in your pool?
Yes, I have. I was 5th pick, and unfortunately, the people before me knew what they were doing. They got basically Mega Guard and the 3 Broken Grounds, so both Landerses and Garchomp.
Mhm.
So I was like, it's between Mew and Greninja, and Loki, I think Mew is a little bit better,
Mhm.
but I like using Greninja, so I picked up Greninja.
So I have something I want to ask Gren-wise, because obviously back when ORAS was current gen, I wasn't playing, and back when Usam was current gen, I was like very, very new. Like I started playing right at the tail end of SM. Obviously, like Greninja has like been more valued, or I guess not. Obviously, that is my question. Is it like a recent thing? How recently did Gren become a round 1 guy? Because back when I was playing in like Usam and things like that, and like early, or I would play old gen ORAS stuff and Gen 7, you'd see like a round 2, 3 Greninja pretty consistently. How recently do you think it was like people were like, no, Greninja's like worth getting first overall, and it should not be falling to round 2 at this point?
Like the past 12 months.
This past 12 months. That's what I was gonna say. I feel like
Then.
the first person I'm sure he wasn't the first person to do it, but the first person I remember doing that and like succeeding with it, I feel like it was like a Darkrai or someone like that. Like I feel like I remember seeing Darkrai drafted in like some Indiv tour and Smogon and like smoking with it, and I was like, holy shit, that's a round 1 Gren. And in my head I'm like, that's a round 2 guy. I feel like that's crazy. You know, obviously he's really good and he smoked with it, but I'm like, maybe that's not the move. And I mean, I've been seeing it all over the place. Obviously you did it as well here, so I don't know. Obviously it makes sense hindsight, but I always think stuff like that's interesting as like metas develop way after, you know, the end of the generation.
We have a little bit of a history lesson here.
Ooh.
How many of you at home, show of hands, are familiar with LD, League Dependency?
My hand is raised.
Me.
Oh,
I don't
let's
believe
go,
you.
let's go. Anyway, this is a league that was, back in the day, one of the top leagues, probably top 2, like consensus, in terms of like player quality, competitiveness, all that, on Showdown at least. And so, in this league, I believe it was Sablo, he drafted round 1 Greninja. And this was like, what year was this? Like 2019, something like that? Like way long ago. And of course he got clowned for it.
Like right before
the
Switch
community
came
was-
out.
This was like 14-point Greninja or something like that, and he got it round 1. So everyone's like, what are you doing? You could have had one of the 18-point Mons or whatever. But then he went and won the league. So that really shut everyone up. And then now people are thinking of Greninja as, maybe you could round 1 this guy. I believe that was Sun and Moon.
Yeah, it looks like that sounds like it's right.
Time.
Yeah, if it was like early 2019, that's like right before Sword and Shield dropped.
I think
like
it was
right
like
before.
2018, 2019, one of those years.
Mhm.
I might be like 1 year off either way. but it was a long time ago, and that was like the first round 1 Greninja that I ever saw actually succeed, and that was cool to see. So
And it's
now,
like,
here we are, 2025.
yeah, and it's like,
round
yeah,
1.
and nobody would blink an eye if you see round 1 Grand. I think it's like, it's also important to mention, it's like, obviously, like, LD wasn't just a strong league. It was like, at least I remember, because I was, you know, playing in much, much smaller showdown leagues, just dipping my feet into Wi-Fi and stuff like that. But, like, you heard about LD, like, you know, by the way, so that's when, like, top players were still playing in draft leagues, and, like, the tour scene was kind of just, like, you know, in its budding stages. Like, DPL was around, things like that, and there was a lot of people playing in it, but it wasn't, like, the only way the top players were playing, which it feels like it is now, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit and stuff like that. But, like, it wasn't just like it was,
you
you know.
remember? You remember there was, like, Smogon tournaments, you know, those are a relatively new thing. But back in the day, we had TTM tournaments, the
dude.
token minorities.
I still think we should have fun things like that, man. Like more community based.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But anyway, it's basically just a big group stage and then single elimination through the bracket.
And then it would be
and
streamed.
These were like
top
really
16.
big events in the community. People really cared about these events.
Mm-hmm.
And to put reference of how good LD was, there was always a statistic that the server would keep track of as what percent of the remaining people are from LD. And you see the percent keeps rising and rising and rising until about top 16.
It's like 50%.
Like above 50%. Like most
Jesus.
of the participants were in LD, like top division, second division, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
They were really the top players at the time. So
Oh, yeah.
winning that league with Greninja round 1 is actually a really insane feat.
Yeah, because
Anyway.
nobody had done it before.
I've said enough about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, ORAS Cup starting. Obviously, you guys can see that in Smogon and stuff like that. If I don't sync, I pretty much always will make a movie on these two as long as I make it out of pools. So hopefully I'm not super ass. I got Lando, so he's cool. I'll probably be fine. And then we have Trick House starting. Are either of you guys playing in Trick House this season? Or I know you weren't L5, but
No, I'm not either.
not either. Okay, so it looks like they're doing like a. It says Sued Ubers. It's just like the bad Ubers.
Yeah, they're doing some experimenting with a bunch of the guys that we like thought were kind of on the edge, but they're like pushing it even further. So like obviously we had stuff like
Yeah.
which people are like we're even arguing for OU at one point.
That one I can understand, but some of these are.
Top like Sol Galeo is a bit much. The Terra Roaring Moon, that thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Terra Dual Speed, the Terra
or-
Chomp, the Terra Darkrai.
Or even Necro Dawn. I know that's probably not the one that people immediately look at. That guy's fucking strong, man. Like that
I
Pokemon,
remember.
this guy's really
People were-
strong.
People were advocating for that to be allowed in normal leagues like 6 years ago or something like that.
Dude,
I
you
don't-
just
I
simply
hope
don't
it's
know
as a
ball.
joke. I hope it was as a joke, but there is a
Yeah.
copy pasta out there where it's like an actual like formulated argument to allow Dawn Wings.
Yeah, I mean, it is 4 times a week to knock off. That's bad.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
Fun fact, dude, I played this a couple weeks ago in BBL, and like the Ubers League, I was EVing for my knockoffs to do enough damage after hazards on like Crocodile.
Yeah,
It doesn't die. Like, I mean, obviously, and again, we maybe we don't want him to take the knockoffs, probably just switch or something, or we just kill the guy before knockoffs because it's dummy strong. Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely one of the worst Ubers, but just really fucking broken Pokemon. There's a reason it's an Ubers. I think even Reshiram in 19, it lost Roost, but doesn't it just kill everything and never die to anything?
Yeah, it's got the DD still and stuff. I thought something that was pretty interesting was Iron Valiant's point, because if you look at it, like look at all the stuff that's below it that we normally see banned. We got the Shaman Sky, we've got the Spectre, we've got the Lugia, we've got the Dialga Origin. It's in the same point as Dragapult, Reshiram, and both the Zamas. So like Iron Valiant. maybe
I think Pult is totally fair to be up there, right? I think Pult is like as good as those guys
Pult
up
is
there.
totally fair to be up
Yeah,
there.
but no, I don't know. I don't know. I think Valiant's obviously great. I think he's like the guy in SV draft right now. I don't see him as overwhelming though, and I don't see him as better than Big Broken Dialga. Again, that's another one I think is silly. Like Dialga Origin. I was watching Amel use it this season for a little bit. I mean, that's another guy that just doesn't die and fucking kills everything. Like it's a minimum 2 for 1 if you're playing with your eyes open. I feel like in standard, like minimum. I don't know what kills that guy.
Yeah.
I watched it Iron Defense in front of a Conkeldurr, like a max Adamant Conkeldurr, and take like 20%. Like it's a really silly mon in my opinion. Like I really don't think that guy should be allowed. And to say like I don't know. I just don't think there's a universe where Valiant is better than that guy. Or even Spec, right? Maybe Lugia. I think the Lugia conversation is interesting. I'm actually really interested to see how that does here. If anybody like drafts it at all even.
I mean, people definitely drafted it, but Lugia lost a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not great. I'm still very much on the fence on the whole like allow it kind of thing. I have it like slated as a video to do, but it's such like a weird. I think this will actually help me do the videos. I can like look at replays for this. I'll probably just push the video back like 2 months because I genuinely don't know how to like be like, I think it'd be fun or I think it'd be broke. I really think this will be a good test of like. Because it was Scribble who originally brought this up, right? I feel like it was Scribble who brought it up on like the Big Smoke on
forum. I think Scribble actually has it.
Oh, does he? That's hella funny.
No, it might be. I think it's Psionical. I think it's
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of them that posted the Big Smoke, and I remember I DM'd Psionical. Okay, were they the person who did like the big Smoke post, or was that Scribble? I forget. They both start with S and C. But regardless, I DM'd whoever it was, and they gave me a big old explanation on it. And I can understand the logic. I think it's interesting that it's a discussion that we can have, you know, like how much the meta has kind of warped into like this, like the super offensive meta. Like, could you imagine even if you took away the moves that it lost in Gen 9, could you imagine taking away those moves and just plopping in a Gen 8 with like 16 roosts and like toxics and heal bells and like, I mean, that guy would be ridiculously broken. It's just, I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic. So that's the one I'm most excited to see be used here. Is there anything else of note you guys want to note on this board that's kind of fun to look at, or any Terra guys? Because I mean, obviously they're gonna allow like more broken Terra guys like Bundle, Latios, shit like that, because you know.
I'm sure L5 is happy to see Rapid Strike is actually more expensive than Single Strike for Terra in this. So
W. Yeah. My influence spreads.
They should draft that with a Meowscarada.
A Latios or two mayhaps. Like you would get an Iron Treads there.
So next
not
up,
an Iron Treads, you put a Terrapagos on there.
Real spinners only.
Yep.
So next up, we also have lots of news. Holy shit, lots of stuff has happened lately. We have Circuit Grand Finals also happening as our last little bit of news. It was Sage versus Gorex, correct? That's happening this week, correct?
Yep.
Or let's just get the games done. So I'm assuming they're not going to forfeit it, but that means it's going to happen soon. I assume by the time next time we have like a podcast episode, those will probably be done.
It'll be done.
Yeah, if you guys want us to watch those if you guys want us to watch that during the podcast too, let us know. Not opposed at all. We can go through the series and stuff like that. I think that'd be fun. It's obviously a really like big tournament that's kind of ending, our indiv tournament that's ending. Obviously both players have been playing in this for a while, so it's pretty cool. Two great players. We see Sage a lot on this channel. I feel like we're always watching Sage replays on what do you call it, this podcast, and you're always watching a lot of Sage replays. They've been obviously really good this gen, and Gorex obviously making it here is very impressive. So yeah. With that being,
just to talk about this a little bit, the circuit championships is something that I've been covering on my channel with a bunch of streams going over all of the best of 3 sets. Obviously check those out if you're at all interested in like the best players playing, because these guys, they qualified for this through a really big qualifier like thing throughout the whole year, basically doing well in a bunch of different tours, qualifies for this one big tour. It's all best of 3, and there's some really great games in there. I highly recommend you watch all of them. Not just to give me more views, I think they're actually good games. But you know,
and like the example of the tours that they're qualifying in are like that ORAS tour that we were just talking about, right? Like all of these individual
the ORAS
tours.
Old gens, but then like several new gen ones, like the
summer
current gen ones are the highest point values. But yeah, I've been covering that. I'll probably do a stream whenever they play finals of the semifinals and the finals. So check that out. Yeah,
big,
etc. Plug.
Of course. Of course. Now onto the burger section. No, we won't be eating burgers, but onto the burger section himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Burger, do you want to tell us, or we'll do this. This is how we usually ask this question to everybody. What is your favorite Mon to use in draft, and does that differ or influence your favorite Pokemon in general? Like me, my favorite Mon is Salamence, and it's pretty high up there for favorite Mon to use in draft because it was already my favorite guy, and then I fuck with using him in draft. Do the two have any crossover, I guess, is the main question there.
Yeah, so it's actually a bit of a dilemma for me because this is the issue I ran into. My favorite Pokemon to use in draft was my favorite Pokemon until Gen 9 happened. Weavile.
No!
Was my favorite Pokemon, and it was also my favorite Pokemon to use in draft. I love Generation 8 Weavile for like first and foremost. That is my favorite generation of Weavile ever. But I love Gen 7 Weavile. I love Gen 6 Weavile. I think Weavile's awesome. I also love its design. and I haven't used it in Gen 9 yet because it's just like, too expensive. it's like I'm like, no, Weavile.
I
so my
think
favorite Pokemon, this gen is probably Cinderace now. I actually really like Cinderace, this generation specifically.
Interesting.
I think it's filled that speed roll that Weavile always had for me. I love it as a Scarfer, just with the Libero. But yeah, Weavile, unfortunately.
I think it is
still my favorite Pokemon.
I think it is so funny that the guy named Burger has his favorite Pokemon being Weavile, the biggest fucking burger flipper of all time. I think like the levels of irony and joke is so funny. Neosperata stole his job and now he works at Wendy's, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, obviously the GOAT before, he's pretty bad right now though.
Unlucky, some might say.
A little bit.
I actually do see some Weavile coming back in OU at least. So maybe you could take that as a
sign for good things.
Inspiration for chance. I'm sure it'll be like draftable soon. Like it's been dropping in points. Yeah.
Once it drops to like the right amount, I mean, it's definitely draftable. I mean, Weavile's still got. It didn't lose anything. It's not like it lost anything.
Other guys are better. Yeah.
What do you think is? What do you think is the draftable like range for it?
The draftable range. Let me actually just pull up.
Where is it at commonly right now?
If I look at the World Cup board right now, it's currently at 13 points.
It's crazy.
6 drafted out of 20.
Yeah, 6 drafted. I would draft Weavile at 12. I think 12 or 11 is like perfectly fine for it because yeah, maybe 11, honestly. There's a couple good darks down there in the 11 range. But honestly, I'm usually looking for... When I'm drafting, I'm usually looking for my good speed early on. So I'm looking at, like stuff like, Greninja, Cinderace, like an Iron Bundle, for example. But if I need something later and there's like a 12-point Weavile, like I'll take it. I mean, still got the same coverage, still got the triple axle, still got the knockoff. Still can do its thing. Weavile's kind of the GOAT.
I think 11 is a hard sell for me, but 12, I could definitely see it.
Yeah, what are the other dark types in 11? Or, I mean, 12?
There's no other darks in 12. There's only Zarude, but, I mean, that's not...
Non-Terra, right?
Yeah. Not the same thing. But you got, like Crook and 11.
You're comparing it to a non-Terra Boulder, for example, as, like, the fast threat.
You're looking at Boulder. I'm looking at...
I'd rather have non-Terra Weavile than non-Terra Boulder, probably.
Yeah,
I think so as well. So I think 12 is probably correct, and 11 is a little bit too low for me. Because then you're starting to compete with, like, from the fast side of Mons with, like, Azelf. And, like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
To be fair, Azelf needs to drop as well. But
I think it's draftable at 13 as well, if you really are, like, in a pinch for that speed.
I think it is as well.
I wouldn't be like, wow, how dare you draft Weavile at 13?
It's just like, it's kind of crazy, the comparison between the 13 Mons to the 12 Mons. Like, we got, like, Iron Hands, Latios, Jirachi, compared to Blaziken, non-Terra Boulder, Rillaboom. I don't know why Rillaboom's still 12 either, but...
No, my god.
I think it's good. I think people are sleeping on Rillaboom. Yeah.
Of course, this one.
I'm a famous Rillaboom fan.
Another one who put Rillaboom on the map.
Yep. Hey, when Rillaboom first came out, there were like 2 DPL seasons where the winner was the person with multiple Rillabooms.
That's true.
Winners win.
The numbers don't lie. Ball don't lie.
Yeah. I think we can move on though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What do we have next?
Weavile, yeah.
So next up is kind of obviously you've done both. I have your channel up right here. We have TGS, the greatest showdown, the league that I ran last year. That was kind of like an upload required showdown league, and the reason we kind of use that as a reference is because draft leagues themselves, we talked about it a little bit with LD too. A lot of the top players don't typically dip into draft leagues themselves, or at bare minimum take them very seriously. So we kind of wanted to get your idea on like the individual league experience versus like the team tournament experience, DPLs, DCLs, Draft League World Cup, things like that. Kind of, the allure for both and which one you prefer and why, pros, cons, etc. Things like that. So what are your thoughts as someone who's obviously done both?
Yeah, so this was something that I actually did want to talk about a bit because as L5 would know, I recently have had a famously bad record in team tours. I in DCL 1 and then DPL 8, I went 0-7, so that's not very great. But Then I play in leagues, and I feel like I usually do really well in leagues. So like TGS was a great example because in TGS, I mean, I'm playing. I beat L5, I beat people like Rye, I beat Sean, I beat you. I had like a really good game with Aster, and it's like I was doing really well in that league. I recently won OLT. I've always been like around doing great in leagues. And then the second I would get into a team tour, like my first big experience of a team tour, I got picked up in mids. I think it was DPL 7. I went like 2-2, which was fine. And then the next one in the DCL, I did terrible. Like it was not great. So something that I kind of lately have been reflecting on between team tours and this, and it's been related to my Draft League World Cup performance, because I'm 2-0 in that right now, which is very great. I've been very happy about that. And it's something I've been doing. I did in TGS is I actually just talk out loud to myself now.
Like while you're playing, like, you're YouTube commentating. What's up, chat? Today we're gonna double on turn 3.
I legitimately, because I did it in TGS. I didn't have the music on in TGS. Like, and I usually play with music on. I haven't been playing with music on, and I genuinely just speak everything out loud to myself because I feel like when I am thinking in my head, I start to skip steps a little bit when I'm thinking about a plan. If I actually articulate everything out that I'm thinking, I can't just be like, oh yeah, he's gonna go in that, because I can do that in my head. When I actually have to speak it out loud, I have to say every little thing that I'm thinking about. And for one, it makes me not rush, because that's a big thing I've found myself in team tours. Like when the nerves hit me, I'll get into a game and I'll start rushing, and you can see my timer doesn't even change if I have timer on. And rushing is, it's not good. It's very bad. But when I have to speak out loud every single thing, I'm like, okay, this gouging fire just did this much. Oh, so now I have to go calc this. I'm like, going over, making sure I have every piece of information down. And I did that in TGS because I was doing it for YouTube, obviously. I had to say it out loud. And I feel like that mindset has kind of carried me. Like recently I went 5-0 in PGP. I did the same thing, and that's not obviously as big of a team tour, but it's still still a team
same
tour.
Kind of idea.
Same idea. And then in World Cup I've been doing the same thing. So it's something that I think is a good habit to get into, especially when you have nerves, is to really just start speaking out loud. You naturally calm yourself down over time if you talk out loud and talk. It just happens. If you are thinking in your head, you're like, oh, it's just like all's going in your brain. It's a bunch of mush after a while. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about between like the league experience to the team tour experience.
That's an interesting idea too, because I mean, obviously, I dabble a little bit in the showdown scene, and I recently, my team tour experience recently is very limited. But I got picked up at DPL mids, didn't do well in my 2 games, and usually when I play showdown wise or anything I'm not uploading, I'm dead quiet. I usually pop on some music. I like turn off the fucking lights. Like I get in the zone while I'm playing. I just sit there and I kind of stare. But I always kind of attribute, like when I play showdown games and when I play in these team tournament games, there is like that next level of like, oh shit, I'm nervous. Like there's a lot going on. Especially if you're trying to break into these scenes, right? Like, if you're an established player in the community, right, and you're an L5 and you've consistently had great performances, you shit the bed and you lose one game in the tournament. It's like, oh, well, I'm fine, But it's a little bit more nerve-wracking, and I wonder if that is something that would help, in the sense of kind of like getting a little bit more in the element. I've never really been nervous for a Wi-Fi game that I'm commentating or any content that I'm doing, and it does feel a little bit more fluid when I'm, doing so. Obviously, the competition level is not close to there, but I guess a good example of it is when I played in finals against Aster in BBR. Obviously, that's not a DPL game, but Aster's obviously really fucking good. He's a better player than I am. But I felt well prepared for that game in a pretty bad matchup, and I felt very, very consistently like, okay, I'm good. I can figure this out, and was able to pull off the upset. So that's an interesting idea. I might think about doing that in like different showdown stuff that I'm doing going forward, because I perform, especially the last like year, I perform much, much worse on showdown than I have on Wi-Fi, and they used to be the exact opposite in Generation 8. I felt like, so that's an interesting idea.
I know it's and yeah, as you're saying, I'm kind of like on that fence of like, if I'm gonna get drafted in like a big team tournament like DPL or DCL, it's like one good performance could get me drafted, but then if one
bad performance makes sure you're not going to, 100%. It's just it's not a bad thing. It's a cutthroat scene. There's a lot of people ready for the next spot. So
it's the way it goes. I mean, and I continue to try and keep working my hardest to get better. So I've been trying to work on habits outside of just like the building, battling, and drafting. Because I mean, there's other things you need to keep in mind.
Yeah, the mental aspect. Oh, 100%.
I mean, it's important at the end of the day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's a really cool perspective. I haven't thought about that like ever. So really cool to think about.
Oh, 100%.
Have everyone, someone's if people watching this, someone's mom's gonna yell at their kid for screaming.
We're gonna have Razzie just
Punch-
screaming,
Dude, no,
I'm going to double switch.
And then he gets hurt and he fucking punches his desk and say, Burger told me to do it.
Yeah.
Razzie, don't break your
by the way.
monitor. Dude, God, Razzie, my goat. When's the Razzie coaching video going up?
Oh, true.
I just need to edit it together.
Dude, let's
so
freaking
maybe
go.
tomorrow or something like that.
Dude, let's freaking go. Razzie coaching video live. Now we can obviously,
Yeah.
I have your YouTube up right here. We talk about TGS, things like that, but really the last couple of videos that you've put out have been really, really high quality stuff. Obviously I'm going to link Burger down in the description. He should have like the clickable name of the thing. Go check out Burger. He's making really good content, as we said. Some really, really cool videos. I wanted to get, I guess the way I wanted to ask you a question about this, I don't know if L5 has some specific questions about the videos, but how was the whole grind of editing and getting these videos together? I know you kind of talked about it in a couple of servers I've seen you in, and I'm a guy who very notoriously does not like editing or doing any of the fun, like the background work for YouTube. I pay people to do it for me because I cannot be bothered to do so. But this history drafting video in particular looks like it took a lot of effort to put together. Can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, so you got the history of the drafting video, then you had the DCL video before that. I've been editing for a while. I just naturally learned how to edit. I was actually just through like high school because I used to make like videos for projects. So I just learned how to edit through doing that. I mean, it's not, I use like CapCut. You can literally look it up online. You can just like look up tutorials online of how to do everything, and then eventually over time you just get faster. I will say the history video took me quite long, like a good amount longer than most editing would take me. I did it around like Thanksgiving time just because I knew I had a bigger period of free time, and it took me, I'd say like 1.5 days to edit that video.
Of like cumulative time, like adding up the hours. Oh, okay, I was like 20 or 36. Okay,
I would say like I'd give it 10 to 12 hours.
Okay,
I would
yeah,
say.
I mean,
Which
shit,
honestly,
that's a lot of time.
Yeah, and it doesn't even seem like that much. 12 hours sometimes wouldn't seem like that much because I did it over the span of 2 days. But naturally, I've just gotten faster at editing certain types of videos. Yeah. But if you take a look at the other video, the best and worst games of the World Cup, I edited that in like 3 hours.
Oh shit, much better.
It was one day, got it done in 3 hours, and I immediately made it. The thumbnail I did not make for that history video, by the way. That was Kirby.
Dude, the goat.
I knew he was the thumbnail guy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
a big, I guess that answers your question with how long all the editing takes. But I do like to edit. I feel like a big thing with people who are trying to get into like editing is you really need to enjoy what you're editing. If you don't like what you're editing, it starts feeling much more grindy. The process gets a lot more annoying. If you're just, because you naturally are going to start watching back what you edit. You get through a certain part of your script and then you're going to watch it back. And if you don't like it, you're not really going to want to continue. So you need to really find your own little niche, something that you think you enjoy while you're editing through a video or trying to make a video, because otherwise you're not going to get in that zone, because you really do need to be in the zone when you're editing, because sometimes it is a grind sometimes. But if you're in the zone, you like what you're doing, the time goes by pretty fast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that I just can't do editing.
Me neither.
Like,
Don't
I've tried
worry.
it before,
Me
it
neither.
doesn't work. It ends up always looking like a high school English project, you know, the kind.
Yeah, I can't make
Without fail,
thumbnails.
always, every time.
I don't have that artistic flair. I have like, I can waffle and talk about drafting and blah 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 for hours and hours and hours. I can sit and grind a matchup, blah, blah, whatever it is. I love that stuff, and I love putting out editing content, which is the tough part. Is I love doing these discussion videos and things like that. And thank God for Sonny, that's my goat. I just pay him to do it. I can write the scripts, I can talk, I can commentate, but man, as soon as I have to start like editing the video, dude, it just goes out the window. I cannot do it. Plus, it's also nice, like. I enjoy it because I work a full-time job. I'm taking full units at school. I could not put out like 2-3 videos a week if I was doing all that stuff. It's time consuming, man. So
yeah.
I commend anybody who can do so. It is not an easy thing at all, especially to do it well. Someone who I actually think makes like really, really good videos. Oh my gosh, is what do you call it? Why am I blanking on his name? Oh my gosh.
What is he?
Hunter. Fucking Hunter. He makes great videos. I wish Hunter, and I know it's kind of like he just makes them as he's feeling them. There's never been a Hunter video. Hunter's the Infected, obviously a really, really good Draft League player as well. But he makes really good content when he like, you know, jumps and gets into it. Man, I would love for that guy to get super, super into content. He makes really good stuff. So it's another person of like, you know, I really respect people that can like, you know, really do so. Cause I mean, I can add music to a video and put the little outro button on it. That's as much editing as you're getting out of me. So
yeah, I know some of my music videos for like the Pokemon raps. That's my buddy Metronome making them in CapCut as well. So yeah, seems like it's a good program for that.
It's very user friendly.
Yeah, that's what he's been telling me. It's like
CapCut, or you can if you're like a college student, you're looking to get into content, you can get most schools and stuff like that can kind of get you either a discount or like free like Photoshop and Premiere and shit like that. Pretty comfortably. So depending on like where you're at and stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend paying for anything if you're not like super about it though. I maybe get into it a little bit and maybe figure it out from there. I also don't recommend hiring people for editing unless again you're super about it. Yeah, you gotta make sure you're super down for it, but that'd be cool. And then content wise too, you've been putting out the shorts. I pinged you at L5 server the other day. I think that's the wave for draft. Not a lot of people do these, and I've done them a couple times. And again, I usually edit those myself. That's probably part of the reason I have not done as many of them as I probably should. But these are the move. I mean, you have some really cool ones here, and a couple of them have gone crazy, man. 13K, 14K. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, so I guess something else I would like before the shorts. I guess one of my big inspirations on like YouTube videos itself. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of Draft League players, but I think the person who I really like the videos most in Pokemon is Freezeye. I think he makes very just solid content on the videos. That's kind of where the history video, that was my inspiration, because he did a history video for like Gen 8, just like OU, and I was like, okay, let me do my own. I can't do the history of Pokemon Draft League like that. I would never be able to do that. So I was like, let me go over Scarlet and Violet, and I think a nice edited content you got that's informational. Yeah, the shorts, I don't know, they're just so easy to make. They really like the shorts, like my shorts seem like sometimes they're a little bit extravagant on the editing, but it takes me like 20-30 minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially once you got a system down for them and things like that too. But dude, these are the moves. They're YouTube cheat code.
I know, and like I just do it on whatever random topic gets into my head. Like for example, during the Trick House reveals, which we talked about Trick House, I was talking to TJ, and TJ told me my shorts give him depression because of not actually, but like for purposes, because of one of my shorts that went over the Gohan Flash Kun game because his teammate lost the game because he got mad hacks. That's a great
one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, so he said he hates my shorts because of that. So I told TJ, you're going to be my next short. And I'm going to call it the Pokemon player who never quits.
Oh, no. This is vile. Yeah, this is a vile one, man. It's just calling out the Pokemon Draft League player moment of, I'm retiring. I'm hanging him up. Yeah. When's the next league starting? I'm bored. I always think that's very silly. Yeah. I had this conversation with my server the other day. I forget who it was. They like announced their retirement. I was like, hey man, just don't play if you don't want to play, you know? You don't gotta this isn't a job.
It was an L5 server.
You know who it was? That was Endless, right?
It was Endless. Oh, dude, dude, shouts to Endless.
Today, or was it yesterday? What?
It was today in my server.
What did he do? He signed up for a league.
he was like, no, I just meant Showdown. And I was like, he's getting into the Wi-Fi, dude. All comes full circle. Which again, it's not like, you know, it's like, no, you can't play when you say you retire. I just think that when people retire, I think it's very silly because we're playing a video game for fun. If you're just like, don't really feel like playing right now, I'm not gonna play for like a year, or I'm not gonna play until I want to, and then you play again. Like, even if you're like, it's all good. Yeah, I wouldn't even consider myself, which, you know, I make content on it and make a little side money. I wouldn't, like, make an announcement retirement video. I'd just stop playing, you know? And then I'd be like, oh, I play again when I want to. I think that's always a very funny thing. So that was a good short. I think that my favorite one, though, is the misinformation Sinistro one. that one was very funny. That one was very funny, because we just read the numbers wrong.
There's a couple of my things that actually just have incorrect information.
It's engagement farming. Trust.
Notably is actually the Rocky Helmet one, because I said that Rocky Helmet mechanic actually isn't a thing in future generations. It actually is. I tested it out. I was like, and again, someone commented, he was like, that's actually a thing in future generations. I was like, shit. I was like, man,
delete comment.
But it's like that's what I liked about the shorts the most compared to the YouTube videos, which I want like maybe like higher quality, more educational content. With these shorts, like I'm usually pissed at myself making some of these. Like the TJ one, I was like dying laughing for like 2 minutes while I was making that short. No,
it was a crazy word call out. Yeah, there's that one. I mean, and I think even the Rocky Helmet one had a notable J-Scurf loss on YouTube, which is one of the funniest bits right now. But yeah, definitely a really fun one. But it's cool to see subtle foreshadowing. I want to do one of the edit. Dude, speaking of editing, we're editing the end of the podcast. Just little clips right here. But yeah, I think the draft league shorts are a really cool idea. That's something I need to jump on too. I've had a couple of them do really well too. I'm like, dang, these are fire, good views. I'm like, I'm not gonna make any more. No, I'm good. Yeah. So they're definitely the move though. They're definitely really smart. And then right here we have what? No,
I totally should do shorts. Like most of what I do these days is streaming, like several hours at a time, just like watching replays and stuff. And I feel like pulling some highlights out of that, making some shorts.
You could find some funny moments.
Awesome. Like the iPro game, for example. That would be a great short.
Shut up
but
or
then
forfeit.
I have to actually edit. Yeah.
I mean, you could even make it like funny SpongeBob, like something silly happens in a game, and then you just zoom in on your face, and then the game's and then the short's over. There you go. There's a short.
Like the 64 squares versus whoever, like where they're just like the guy Earth powered a Scarm once, Earth powered on the Switch to D Knight, and then Earth powered again on the D Knight. And then I just went like this or something like.
You just got dude a funny sound effect, funny SpongeBob. Let's go.
When he fell for like the most obvious Custap debond of all time, and I'm like, oh my dumbass teammate.
No, me and my teammate doesn't.
That would be a good short, man. But then I have to edit. And I don't like editing, so.
Well, unfortunately, something you can do, something that I did. So if you look at one of my shorts, I mean, it's the Pokemon Draft League World Cup got to be crazy games. If you actually on CapCut, there's a feature that you can literally just paste in your video, and it'll turn a spot into a short.
Oh shit, that's cool.
It just makes it into a short, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this real quick, and it like whipped out a short for me in 2 minutes, and I just clipped the specific part I wanted to clip, so I could like try to plug the actual video itself, and I was like turn it into a short. Yeah. So if you want to look, like you could probably plug your phone.
I'm sure it's not that hard. Like I could probably do it, but I have to actually do it, you know?
Yeah,
so true.
I get it. We gotta try a little hard.
yeah, just a little bit.
And then the last one really quick, so we can keep moving. We're waffling before the waffling section. The last thing we have written down here is quote U.S. Northeast vibes.
U.S.
So I guess we're just asking, how are the vibes of the team? Are you enjoying yourself in the tournament? Obviously, you guys lost in your week one, which was less than ideal, but you're playing well, and it looks like you guys won this week. How are you guys feeling going into a really big week? Obviously.
We're doing good. I unfortunately this video will be out by the time lineups. I actually have to bench next week, so I can't play next week just because my availability was really bad on weekends, and I was like, I don't want to get myself subbed out if someone wants to use a different team. But I think we're looking pretty good. Our teams are interesting. Some of them are really cool. Some of them are not the best, but that's why
very bad.
That's why we don't need to use all 10 drafts. You know, the vibes are good in the server. Happygate, shout out, mocks everyone a bunch, which is really helpful because there's not too much mocking that goes on. You know, shout out to Zooch, by the way. He kind of built my not my whole week one team, but he helped a lot with it. But yeah, there's a lot of good vibes in the server. Me and Kyle are good friends. Matt is also a sick captain.
Nice.
Yeah, so, nice to hear.
All right, moving on. We have quote the Ogerpon theorem. So I'm assuming this is kind of like part 2 to like, you know, the Rillaboom theorem kind of that we've talked about, I think, on the podcast before. I know I've talked about this a bunch in draft in general, of kind of like this guy slept on, gets overhyped a little bit, and then gets brought back down to earth. And is it underrated or now again, or is it properly rated, that kind of thing? I'm assuming that's what we're going with. And this is Ogerpon Teal we're talking about specifically, right?
This is every.
No.
Oh, this is all of the Ogerpon. Okay, I thought we were talking specifically about Teal. Explain the theorem to me then.
Well, my theorem is that Ogerpon, Cornerstone, and Hearthflame are just better than Wellspring and Teal at this point. Just because it's like so specific to the meta, because I don't think Wellspring is bad. I think Teal, I actually don't like Teal at all. But just being locked into a type as a Terra Pokemon in this meta just feels so bad right now.
It does,
especially with everything being like just. And I feel like Terra has moved a lot towards setup threats compared to like fast hitters. excuse me, lately.
Mhm.
And I think Cornerstone and Hearthflame are just better at this point. And Teal has also fallen off super hard. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought you were talking about with the or the Ogerpon theorem, in the sense of like it is like last gen, like with the Rillaboom, where like, or I guess kind of leading into this gen, where like I remember a while ago, like when Teal first dropped, I don't think any of you was drafting that shit, but then it was like the DPL that I got picked up at mids. I feel like there was fucking every team had like a Terra Teal Pond team. That guy was like super highly rated, and now I see everybody shitting on that guy again, like all the way back down. I will say Cornerstone, after using the BBL, I love that guy. I super agree. I think it's really freaking good. One of my favorite Pokemon on the team. It hits so hard. Ivy Cudgel is such a nice tool, and like I like the strong 100% accurate rock move. I really like it with other mons that like I have Flutter Mane. Obviously, not every team's gonna have Flutter Mane in standard, but like I love it with Flutter because the mons that check Flutter, like the Spadef Steels and shit, are probably most likely the rock resist on the opposing team. So I just get like 30% off consistently with like power-ups and Ivy Cudgels on those guys, and then my Broken Fairy type wins. So you could like apply the same kind of concept to, you know, a standard draft with, you know, another mon that appreciates that kind of switch in. So I really like Cornerstone. I'm super high on that guy.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right about Hearthflame and Cornerstone being the better Ogerpons for the price right now. Just like in general, like obviously I helped Owen for a bunch of games this season in BBL, and every week I'm like, we should totally bring Ogerpon. It just wins, like, or it breaks everything, or it's a good hazard lead, or there's always something it can do, right?
Sturdy's great too.
Hearthflame's awesome because it really feels like you have Terra Hearthflame, but you don't have Terra. But it just feels so strong anyways. And the typing is unique and like honestly pretty good defensively. Like a lot of things that usually are super effective against like fire types or stuff like that, it's actually neutral. So you can invest a lot in HP and you're able to synth off a lot of things. The Ivy Cudgels hit insanely hard still. Fire's still great offensive typing. Fire Grass, good coverage there. Obviously, only dragons really resist that.
You get play
or
rough
like
if you
opposing
need it.
fire types. But yeah, you have Stomping Tantrum, you have Play Rough, you have tools for that. And I found like bulky SD sets, they look just as good as when Terra was allowed. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
like,
say that was pretty broken. Yeah.
For 10 point, it's like comparable, you know?
Yeah, definitely solid at 10. Like a little late guy. He's got Encore.
Well, it's like one of those luxury
Right.
offense kind of guys too, where like you have the pieces you need, and like, okay, this guy like
I think-
accents my top end offense pretty well.
With Hearthflame in particular, you do need it with like one of the top 3 spinners, or else
Oh, yeah,
you're
for
really
sure, yeah.
kind of trolling, like Terap or one of the 2 elephants, right? Tusk and Treads. Outside of that, it's like maybe not.
It's not a mod that's gonna fit on every team or like needs to be drafted on every board, but like it's good, and I feel like nobody actually like even really looks at it right now.
Like
very
Cornerstone
often,
is like so splashable.
Oh,
Like you
that
can fit it
guy's
on anything.
awesome, man. I keep hyping that
For
guy
World
up.
Cup?
That guy's the goat.
It's just
For
like
World
the sturdy. I was gonna say the sturdy is just it's so nice on like a Pokemon as offensive as it.
It's
You don't
led
just
on
get
like half of my
really offensive
teams.
Pokemon. Yeah, it's such a good lead.
Yeah, I was gonna say like when we're like making all of our drafts for World Cup, I'm like, this team should have a Cornerstone, and they're like, nah. Oh, this team should have a Cornerstone. Like as we're building each one down the line, like. And we didn't actually end up having any Cornerstones, I think.
No,
But, like, man,
it's a really
I
unique
tried my
offensive
best.
profile too. Like I don't know, it's really cool. A lot of teams just don't deal with it. They just simply. And again, if you want that offensive Cornerstone to match up, very often in BBL, I felt like I don't even need coverage for like the steel type that walls my stabs because you just naturally do so much, and they never have recovery anyways. But like you have low kick and superpower and stomping and all those different things, and other than steals, what really switches into grass rock if they're like consistently strong moves, and again they're obviously boosted via the mask and stuff like that, so they hit harder than what they say in the move description. Like they hit really
a lot of
freaking
people
hard.
Don't realize how strong the Ogerpons are. Like that 1.2 times boost that it gets just from holding the mask.
Yeah.
And
And that's not everything. It's not just
I
on
did the math
stats.
one time. I did the math one time. It was like instead of base 120, depending on investment, it feels like around base 150.
Yeah.
Which is like a big attack stat, you know? And then you come out with an accurate rock stab, something that people have been like praying for like years now.
I remember,
Finally,
and it's 100
here.
base power high crit chance. Like it's just a broken move.
Yeah,
it's just simply,
contact.
yeah. I remember when we were building for Joey in that like hyper offense game where we brought like screens HO. I remember we were looking at calcs. I was like, it's hard to fit SD and Trailblaze because I want both my stabs, but I want knockoff for what do you call it? Iron Crown. And then I was like, oh shit, I get a spike and I like can kill offensive crown with Power Whip from full at +2. Like it just freaking dies. Like it's not even close. Or like I was jolly and +2 just O-code defensive Gliscor from full, like no hazards, no nothing, and it was like did like 110. It wasn't like it barely killed or it was a roll. Like so, I'm big on Cornerstone. It's probably top 3 favorite mod on my team from this BBL. That guy's the goat. It's really him.
The goat.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's talk about some funny YouTube comments though.
Oh god.
Because you've been making these videos and they've been popping off with views, like relatively speaking. But you're getting some interesting comments. You want to share some of those?
I have the Ash Ketchum one up. And by the way, really quick before he says so, this is how you know a YouTube video is doing well. When it kind of gets into that general like Pokemon fan ethos, where it's not just draft people watching these videos, you know they're popping when people are yelling at you because you called Ash Ketchum good. But do you want to read this one off? I have it on screen, but...
Yeah, so this first one, was my video about TJ, and I compared TJ to Ash Ketchum because, he's the GOAT. Ash Ketchum? Like, never quit. And this guy, he really does not like Ash Ketchum. Like, I don't know if it's like...
It's personal for him.
He's the worst trainer ever.
It's the worst trainer ever. Like, I don't know, like, who does he prefer? He must be like, a Gary Oak fan or something. He must be not
he's big Paul guy from the Gen 4 anime.
Oh, Paul, yeah.
He's big Paul guy.
So he left me a big comment, and then I just left like I couldn't tell if he was joking at first because it was so long.
Give a very neutral comment. The neutral comment is Ash Ketchum cooks.
And then he gave me a longer comment back. I was like, all right, we're not joking here.
Ash Ketchum's fire.
I was like, I'm not gonna say anything back to this guy. I don't want. He might have subscribed to me. I don't want to lose a fan.
Dude, you always gotta heart the comment.
Yeah, of course.
He was a bumbling nobody is so intense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start saying that to people when they hacks me. You're a bumbling nobody. Shut up or forfeit, you bumbling nobody.
Yeah. And then we have this other comment that I got. This was on it was on my video about a really quick game. It was one of my shorts. And I wanted to use a confused face emoji, so I went into Google, as one does, and I typed in confused face emoji. And I saw this one that looked funny, so I copied it, I put it in the video, and then I get this. He just berated me for it being an AI-generated emoji. I didn't even think of it being AI-generated. I just thought it was funny when I first saw it. Now, like, looking back at it now, it's very obviously AI-generated. But he called me soulless and cheap, and I was like, I got my feelings really badly hurt, man. I was like, shoot, man. I guess,
you have to download the official iPhone emojis or commission artists straight up for him.
Yeah, like I was like, did you want me to like PayPal you like $2 or something? Like, did you make the original confused face emoji? And AI's like ripped you off. Yeah, I guess I'm feeling the content creation vibes.
I told you, that's how you know videos going crazy. I had people like threatening my life because I was giving Mega Sceptile U-turn and I'm a buff every Mega video. People take this Pokemon shit serious, man. They don't play. They do not play about their buffs. And this is another good one too. I think we might have accidentally had this on the screen in the beginning of the podcast.
Foreshadowing?
J-Scar fire emoji, and then he comments something else later, but it doesn't really matter. But after that, we speaking of your Draft League World Cup run, things of the sort, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. I'm just gonna kind of replay this on repeat. We have two important discussions regarding this. Is one, Terra Tusk, because you don't see a lot of Terra Tusk right now. While I think it's a good Terra captain, people kind of see it as like, he's good with Terra, very good, but I get more value out of Terraing something else. You're using Terra Tusk and doing very well with it. And you're also 2-0 with known burger flipper Gen 9 Latios. So we want you to sell us on. You don't really have to sell us on Terra Tusk, but you can kind of talk about why you went that way and how you've been feeling about it. But you got to sell us on Latios, because as much of a Latios fan as I am, and ORAS through Swish, I will never draft that guy again in Sword and Shield unless you convince me otherwise. So I'm gonna play this game in the background. We'll probably just repeat it a bunch. It looks like you're Terra Fairy in this matchup too, if anybody at home is wondering. But what do we got?
I quick note, anything that's a burger flipper gets an immediate 1.25 times boost in my hands.
True.
It's like the aura from me, like the burger, the double R, just like gets right into any of my Pokemon that are just known burger flippers. Anyways, Terra Tusk is something that I like about it. Well, the thing about Tusk is it's usually a luxury to get a Terra on it because it's sometimes hard to get a good partner with it if you're drafting in like a standard Snake style draft, just because a lot of the good speed will go, a lot of the good offense. But since this was World Cup was creation, it was much easier to build a team that actually supported it and allowed it to be Terra. Otherwise, like you'll get to like your pick and it's like, oh man, there's nothing good left to pair with it. I can't if none of these guys can Terra. Like you have like Ogerpon Teal, you can't draft with it because you can't Terra. Yeah, Latios. I actually am the complete opposite. I don't like Gen 6 through 8 Latios at all. I think it's a little overrated in Gen 6 through 8. I don't think, even in 6 through 8, I don't think it hits hard enough. And I still don't think it hits like amazingly hard, but it's not expensive anymore. It really isn't. So you can see I have 3 Pokemon I consider better than Latios on my team. Great Tusk, Greninja, and Zapdos. I mean, all Latios does is it comes in and it can provide any role that it can do whatever it wants because it's not the biggest threat on the field anymore. In Gen 6, it's like the big offensive threat you're prepping for. In Gen 7, it's the big offensive threat you're prepping for. Gen 8, I think it's terrible, and I would just never draft it. But, and then Gen 9, so that's why I kind of think Latios, it's pretty good. I also think Luster Purge is a really good move for it. The
Dude, I thought he was going to be him when I got that buff. I was like, dude, Latios is so back, man. He's going to get all the Spinef drops, but then he still doesn't kill anything. And so...
Yeah, he famously did not kill a Como-O at 62% with Luster Purge.
Oh, dude.
Which is a little pathetic, but I don't know. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a big Latios guy. Again, I like him in Gen 8. I used him a lot in Gen 8. Well, I guess that's an interesting kind of like take on it in the sense of like, Latios getting worse was kind of good for it because now you can get him way later with really good pieces and things like that. I guess the only time I've used Latios this gen, it was like my second best Mon, and then I was like, wow, this guy sucks. I hate him. So, definitely makes sense, obviously. In that sense. What are your thoughts on Latios, Mr. L5?
So I'm just gonna say real quick, I thought your face was so funny when he said he actually hated old gen Latios.
Yeah,
that was so funny.
I love that guy.
You had me cracking up for real. But yeah, you're like actually pouting. But anyways, I think Latios is like pretty reasonable if you're able to get it as like a third best Mon on a team. Like it can't be the focal point anymore at all. But like if you're drafting it, for example, with the Terra Tusk with a Greninja, all of a sudden, seems a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's maybe the same reason why I think Latios is so good this gen.
It's like so cheap. And you get it with other things, yeah. No, that's
so it's
fair.
like kind of similar to that in a sense, but obviously a little bit stronger offensive. So
yeah, I think I still definitely prefer Latios over the 2, just because I do like that defensive utility. Or I'm the biggest Healing Wish stan of all time, especially this gen. I don't know, it's like my favorite move, like ever. So I like having that idea or that option. Yeah, maybe it's just like the one time I've used non-Terra Latios, it was like the second best Mon on my team. So I was like, oh, this sucks. Or no, it was the third best. But it was also like first best Mon Greninja, then Terra Gambit. So it was kind of a bad team in general. So I guess that is definitely a fair critique of that guy. I used Terra Latios in GG Inc. and that was like the most broken Pokemon of all time. That guy was fucking awesome. I didn't lose, not this most recent GG Inc., like the winter one, but like the first tournament they did. I didn't lose a single SV game. I just didn't play it in my like top 16 game or whatever, unfortunately. But I didn't lose a single one. The Latios never died. I had like 15 kills in like 4 games or something like that. It was ungodly broken. That guy was fucking
a little bit good.
That guy was insane. He was Latios, Terra Latios, but also kills everything with no investment. Really silly guy. But
Loud in Trick House, by the way.
So there's a lot of Loud in Trick House, right?
Yeah.
And then we also have Terra Hydrapple performances. Did I forget to pull up this one? Oh no.
Well, hold on. We talked about Latios for a bit, but Great Tusk. Let's talk a little bit about Great Tusk, because right, we talked about how it's sometimes a little bit difficult to actually fit on the team and have like an actual structure that makes sense. Oftentimes you're gonna have to put that Terra on something else, but when you are able to get Terra on Tusk, I think it's like low-key one of the best Pokemon in the format.
Oh, it's so broken. It's so broken.
No, really? So you think it's just like that matter of like certain teams just really struggle on the ability to...
Think about how much you can do with it, right? you can run speed booster with bulk up, a defensive Terra, like for example, right here, what Burger had, like
Booster speed fair, yeah, with
bulk
fairy.
up 3 attacks, and like this
How
is
little
such a
it took from
potent
Photon.
set in the end game. Yeah, like was this like max def, max speed kind of thing? Seems like
No,
that.
it was just max HP.
It was
Max
probably
HP, yeah.
physical necro. Looking back at it now,
Yeah,
or
was it?
It was
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
was GD, it was GD.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay, makes more sense. But anyways, like its offensive stabs are so strong that it can really afford a defensive Terra, whereas sometimes you kind of need your defensive Terra to also be an offensive typing on
Mhm.
some Pokemon. But this one, absolutely not. Like the stabs are great. Ice Spinner is really good coverage. You're always gonna have options like that.
Mhm.
And then here you got stab play rough as well. So like when you're able to double up on that, it's nice as well.
Mhm.
But then also like sometimes you're just gonna run Scarf with like Terra ground, Terra fighting, just like hit insanely hard.
Yeah.
Really threaten that endgame sweep. You can run like Terra flying, for example, take those grass knots a little bit easier, and then like just spin, bulk up, all sorts of things, and then have like that ground plus flying coverage, which is also amazing.
Mhm.
And there's so much you can do with it. Like it's kind of a Swiss Army knife of like just winning the game.
It's just
So
a
I
little
think
bit
it's,
more
like,
difficult
so
to draft
awesome,
around. Mhm.
And there's people out there who think it's bad. I can't understand these people.
I think it's just because people aren't drafting it, and people see like, oh, well, people draft Tusk and they don't Terra it. That must mean Terra Tusk isn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
it's
like
just a little
regular
bit
Tusk
tricky
is
to
a
pick.
good is also just like a reliable, really really good guy. So depending on what you draft with it, obviously, and there are some Pokemon that like if you draft it with Tusk and you draft another one that like kind of needs Terra to be that top tier threat, you're gonna Terra that guy, because Tusk, while it might be really good with Terra, it's not the other guy who's really bad without Terra. So you kind of have to forego that in some instances. Like I know like in BDR Summer Scramble when Mount Terra was playing, he won with, or he didn't win, he came in second. He had Tusk and he didn't Terra it, but he had like a Thunder T, which if you draft that guy, you're probably Terraing him because he's not very good, or he's not as good without it, right? Whereas Tusk is fine. So that kind of idea. But yeah, no, Tusk is definitely solid. Again, good bulky Terra captain. Speaking of, apparently I keep seeing Hydrapple everywhere in your server in particular. There's like a fucking Hydrapple counter. Anytime the mon is like spoken, somebody posts a screenshot of it in the King L5 Discord channel. So you wanna give us a little bit of a background on Hydrapple? Is it just like you're dunking a couple other people being like, wow, regen, good move pool, let's Terra this guy and see if he's broken? Or
So as far as I can tell, this is basically a Yurdunk invention, which is just Terra Hydrapple, which he used in whatever league it was, DGBA, when he had that team that was like mono mid-priced Pokemon, and Terra Hydrapple was like his carry. And that team, like conventionally, horrible. Like,
Well, you said
Hydrapple
mono
is
mid-tier.
the number one threat. It's the number one threat on the entire draft, and he's still like, I think he made top 4 or like finals or something like that. He did really well in it with like a 9-1 record or something like that, maybe 8-2. I don't know how long the season is. I'm just making up 10 games. It might not be that, but he did really well in the regular season. Made it pretty far in playoffs, and it was all basically off the back of Terra Hydrapple. So now he's like using it in Draft League World Cup. He's kind of convinced a few other people to
welcome to the Church of
pledge their
Hydrapple.
allegiance. Yeah. So I know Genius used it this week as well in something. Was it World Cup or something else? I don't know.
World Cup,
But he used it. Yeah. And this thing also has a lot of set variability. There's like Assault Vest. It's pretty strong. Has regen, so you can always go for that. There's Nasty Plot, Defensive Terra with Recover. If you can fit like just 2 coverage moves for a draft.
Dude,
That's
Fickle
really
Beam,
strong
I forgot about this guy's move, and it just got the effect in the game.
He's going all
that
out.
pisses me off so much. I put a hole through my monitor if Hydrapple was going all out and did 40% more than he was supposed to on a switch. It's just, it's Dragon Pulse that turns into no drawback Draco sometimes. Like, that's really fucking silly.
It's very funny. But yeah, the Mon has been winning a lot in World Cup in the first few weeks. I believe it's like 4-2 or something like that. So not bad at all.
I
It
know.
might be 4-2 this week, or is it overall? I forget. Someone said 4-2. I just remember that from somewhere.
I know. What do you call it? On the Wi-Fi side of things, A12 has been like the biggest Hydrapple guy. of all time. And I will get comments on either videos or streams because I've previously shit on this guy. I thought he was really bad. I haven't really seen people use him with Terra before, but I've seen people draft him and just be like, regen. And then him be really bad. But I know HL's been big on this train too. Like, give him his shot, at least from the Wi-Fi side. He's Hydrapple's biggest warrior at the moment.
And I know someone had it in PPL as well. I forget exactly who.
Was it Terra there, or was it just regular?
It was Terra, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like pretty threatening to Uzi's team when I was helping him prep for that.
And that's when they have like set types, like they were using like Wi-Fi rules, right? So like, when you can be like a little bit more, when you can be a little bit more like variable and stuff like this. Obviously it's just gonna be better, right? Again, it's just kind of the idea of like regen plus Terra usually equal good if it's like a Pokemon with good enough stats. So yeah, pretty solid. Oh, big fake out right there. But yeah, big Hydrapple come up, which is pretty cool. And again, not just your dunk using it; it's just multiple people using the goat. Terra Water went crazy in this game. Holy shit!
Yeah. I know there's one on Team China, and I know Lejon used it this week as well.
Yeah,
ate that earth or that energy ball.
Yeah.
Oh my god, 98. Was that like specs?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man!
Zach.
Goodness gracious. But yeah, pretty cool. I like seeing like these random Terra cap throughout the gen, and that's why like I'm not as worried. I think quick waffle. We have probably like 2 years left of SV, by the way. I don't know if you guys keep up with like in-game stuff at all. We're gonna get ZA this year, and it's probably not gonna have any online stuff. Maybe like you can transfer guys to SV, so we'll get a couple new Mons. Maybe Megas will come. I doubt it though. I feel like there's no way gonna be any PvP in that. So then that means Gen 10 is like the next like new metagame. That's in like 2 years from now. So we're gonna be playing SV for a while. Do I think it'll get stale by the end? For sure, but I feel like there's still a lot of room to find cool new stuff in this meta.
I'm happy about that. I love SV.
Yeah, it's
so interesting.
Yeah, it is. By this point in Swish's lifespan, I feel now no draft meta is like solved, but Swish felt solved by that point. Everybody's using the same kind of team comps, at least in my mind. At this point in Swish's
especially
lifespan.
team tours, right?
Yeah,
people just copy. It
gets really boring, but you see new shit all the time in SV, and I feel like it's going to continuously be that way. As we go throughout, there's probably some other, there's probably gonna be, and again, trends. So as other things get good, guys that might be ass now might be like, oh, I beat this, and then I beat this, and it kind of, goes in waves.
It's just such an awesome mechanic.
Like, I've definitely turned around
possibilities.
I've turned around to it, and I think playing a non-Terra Gen 9 league is what convinced me, because I was like, man, Gen 9. I don't think I like. The one thing my biggest qualm with Gen 9, I've always said it, is I don't like how like. You don't always have to play offense and bring offense, but it is very offense dominated, and I don't think a lot of playstyles are super viable, like consistently.
I actually low-key disagree now. I've been
I've also been disagreeing with it lately.
I used to think that, and I've said it on the podcast a bunch of times, I'm sure, but I've been thinking about it, and like a lot of these balance structures are actually quite good.
I haven't, maybe I haven't seen enough games of them, but I always feel like any balance I see, it just gets super overwhelmed. But I feel like that was even more the case when Terra wasn't around. If he was really, really bad, there, like the wonderful thing about like defensive Terra, it like just giving you like there's like 3 broken guys on the other team, but this helps me not lose to all of them. I think that's a really cool thing. So I actually think it'll be really interesting in Gen 10, especially if power creep continues on the trend that it's at right now. If we get more power creep, then we don't have something like equivalent to Terra that lets us kind of flex in the builder. I wonder how that's gonna be. That might be a bit silly. Games might get a bit silly.
Mega terrestrialized Flygon, the beast.
Dude, so true. We're doing all of them.
Just like a quick point on what L5 said. I think something that I've noticed like that's been trending lately is I feel like teams have actually valued hazard removal a lot more as the gen has increased. Like at the start of the gen, people were like, oh, I'm just gonna out hazard and win that war, and that's why the games are going so fast. But I feel like teams actually are valuing hazard removal in this generation, so they don't just have to play that hyper offense hazard stack and win the hazard war, go mono boots. Shout out to Keegan. But I feel like that's like a big part of the trend.
Dude, Keegan used to say that, but Keegan didn't bring any boots against me in our recent PPL game, and because he didn't, he got smoked. So now he's he's back on the boots train again. I was talking to him. He's like, I just brought boots on all my fucking guys again.
So, an interesting thing you can do with a lot of structures, like I did this in my current World Cup, like this week. I made it so that only one of my Pokemon is hit by spikes. So I have Levitate Latias, I have Gliscor, I have Boots Terrapagos, I have Boots on, what was it? There was one other guy that had Boots. Oh, Sneasler. And then I had another Pokemon, Rotom, with Levitate. So I had 5 immune to spikes versus Tinglu. Like, I don't need removal, so I didn't run Spin on my Terrapagos for that reason. I was like, Stealth Rock 3 attacks. And that draft was like really good in testing. In the actual game, it didn't go my way, unfortunately. His Terrakion had quick attack, and I was not ready for that.
Oh, the John Jr. special. You got smoked. Got Terrakion.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually a really good game. Like, honestly, I'm gonna do a stream like on a bunch of games, probably on Monday or Tuesday. Probably Tuesday. But yeah, it was a great game. My opponent played well. You know, I played well as well. Like, not to toot my own horn, but that end game was super awesome. He came out on top, but just for an example, 5 of my Pokemon immune to spikes, and I was able to hazard stack on the other side and then spin block with my Rotom.
Yeah, not have to worry about getting a
that was I was definitely building a balance structure there.
Oh yeah.
And like it wheelchaired all my mocks, unfortunately, you know.
Doesn't always go that way in the game, man.
But like, just as an example, it can work and it can be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of experimented that. Again, I didn't build any balance in Gen 9 up until this BBL season, but there was, I mean, just bringing back, brought a couple bulkier teams, but like in that game against Dell, we brought Gen 9 stall, and it worked really, really well in every mock and in the game itself. Like, it was one of the more like easily piloted teams and games I've played all Gen. And again, and it's not like my team is like dummy bulky and fat. It was like Sableye, Quackleval stall. It wasn't like the defensive core you draft just in case. I didn't have the Tinglu Aloe. My balance core was Quackleval, Sableye. So
this is Ubers. It should theoretically be harder.
Yeah. No, exactly. 100. And it was one of those things. What's that?
I said we've even seen Joey do it with like the Avalugg, the Gliscor. I mean, he's been.
Yeah, I think it was against Dell too. He brought the same kind of idea and team structure of like. I wonder who's helping him prep, or who's helping both those guys prep for both of those games.
Shout out to the pond,
dude. Quack.
The pond is bringing balance back.
Dude, so true. But let's go ahead and jump on into our game of the week right here.
Wait, is this where the foreshadowing pays off?
It might. We'll have to see. We have a frequenter of the podcast, Mr. J Scurf 26. If you had to rank him on a number, okay, I was gonna say if you have to rank him on a number scale of how good he is as a player, he's top 5 player, top 5 GOAT. Some might say, and then we have Crocop 93. I don't know who this is. I'm assuming this is World Cup, yeah.
Yeah, World Cup.
Canada versus Whomst.
Oh, you're gonna have to make me look this up.
Versus, I've got this.
Austria.
Okay. I have not seen this game, but L5 and we were very excited for this to be game of the week. This was immediately.
I'm so happy for you to react to this.
Yeah, I have not watched it at all. So what should I watch this on fast or normal?
Normal.
Normal. Start on normal.
Okay. I'm gonna click play just so you guys can click it as well. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick because I want to look at the Terra types. We have Flying on the Annihilate. Is it also Flying Thundy or is it just a Thunder?
Flying Thundy.
Okay. Fairy Lando, and I don't think anything else.
I think Meloetta might be.
Or just Terra Normal. Okay.
I think it's Meloetta.
We'll see. So we see lead Tentacruel and the lead Alamamamala. We switch out hard. What the fuck? 63. No, we got forced out.
So pause here.
Big
pause
double.
Here.
Oh, my bad.
Folks, have you ever seen an Aloe do 63% to an Annihilate? Now you have.
I have never. Dude, you know what pissed me off about this game? Is I've been like a notable Aloe hater on like Wi-Fi. It's like my thing.
I know.
Okay, so people say it's my thing. I don't think Aloe is a bad mon. I've said this like 8 times on the podcast. Or like when Uzi was on it. I don't think it's bad. I think it's aptly priced as a lower tier bulky water like good little pivot guy who can't come to every games because he's kind of exploitable in some matchups.
No.
I feel like that's a very fair analysis of the Pokemon Alamamamala, right? Everybody thinks I hate it, and now people are gonna be like, Owen thinks Aloe is passive. It did 63% to Annihilate. Oh, J Scarf, why did you do this?
Video I saw a YouTube video where it said that you hated Aloe Momoa.
Dude,
So,
that video
just
went
going off of
crazy. I know, I was losing my mind because motherfuckers were round 2ing Aloe. I was losing my mind. And then if they were just doing that and had bad drafts, whatever, I don't care. But they would do that, and then they'd be like, y'all done fucked up. Y'all messed up. And I was just like, shut up. So Fran was the person who made the video, and they did well in the tournament. But they played Mountay, very good player. Probably knows how to exploit passive Pokemon and passive matchups. Guess how they lost that game in like top 16? I think it might have been Aloe Momoa clicking flip turn on a Great Tusk and then it being weakness policy and the game ending.
And does that bring you satisfaction?
Oh, I loved it. I commented, ha 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 ha.
Yep, you're just an Aloe hate watcher.
Dude, I was because Fran put out the video. They deserved it. They had to come back. I put out the tiers for BBR recently, and I guess spoilers for someone who's performed really well in Wi-Fi. They beat Mountay in finals at BBR Scramble, and they were undefeated in regular season in BBR as well. So I gave him the invite. Obviously, great player. But they're like the stall Wi-Fi guy. I guess it kind of goes back around. They've succeeded really well with bulkier playstyles pretty much exclusively. I forgot to change Aloe on the tier list from where it was at, and it was 9 off of the board I grabbed that John gave me with permission. I know Steel. And they were like, oh, Owen saw the light. Aloe's in 9. I probably wouldn't have put it back in 6. I'll put it back in 6 to spite him. I put it right back in 6 because that's where the agenda has to have it. And I said, go ahead and take it. I dare you. I'm not even playing in the league. It does not affect me at all. But I thought it was very funny. Okay. Back to God damn it! I would have to watch Aloe gaming for this.
Are we at here? Turn 2?
We're at turn 3. We just saw Playref do 76 to Latias as it won a speed tie. And Drake, or maybe a speed tie, we don't know. Draco Meteor does about 70. Power Up's gonna pick it off. Maybe it wasn't a speed tie. It could have just been a bulkier Latias. Who knows? Thundy comes out. We're gonna see a Terra Flying. We do see a Terra Flying and a Terra Blast. That didn't take any damage at all.
That might be a Assault Vest.
It might be, allegedly. Dude, Terra Flying Thundy is such a strong mod too, man. I don't care if that's Assault Vest. That's really crazy damage.
Yeah. You know what would have done more? Aloe.
Aloe would have done way more. Probably would have 2 KO with flip turn. We see Sub and a Sludge Wave from Landers getting off 60%. Goodness gracious. As Tinglu's going to go ahead and pivot out.
That's what
on the Iron Chart's coming in.
Nickname, by the way, the Landers nickname, Sandorus.
Dude, big.
What a beast.
We, oh my god, 23% on the Tentacruel. This is so silly. As the Ruination just doesn't do anything. We Earth Power, Goodnight Tentacruel, Goodbye Water Resist. Goodbye Water Resist, unfortunately.
You see it. You see the vision.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Yep. Flip turn. 35. I see real Pokemon not doing 35 to Tinglu, unfortunately.
Garchomp does 17 to Tinglu.
Earthquake from Treads just did 24, man. I mean, that was a good 10% less. We Spinner. It looks like it's not Spin Treads, but that's a lot of damage. Is it Aloe time? Farm some regen, get off a flip turn. Let's go. Oh man, another one. Dude, poor Jade. I hope he had the chat off. Go Fish from King L5 in the chat too, right there. I do think it's funny when I see these games because you see L5 always pop up. Bulky ass Landers eats that Terra Flying. I'm assuming bulky because that did not kill him. That's pretty funny.
It's lefties, so you have to assume some bulk.
Klefki comes out as it is the ground resist now. It kills the Landers, but this one is unfortunately super duper over. Cudgel guy comes out. We see an Ivy Cudgel on the Reflect. This guy's at 43. I think it'd be funny if Aloe got the final kill personally. Is it gonna get the final kill, or are we gonna go into Weezing and be safe?
I think it's Meloetta here.
Or Mellow. That also makes sense, but I mean, Clinic from our goat, Aloe. You know what? Maybe you're right. Who we're moving it to 14. So Waffle of the Week this week was almost. We should have done the Aloe thing because Waffle of the Week and Game of the Week could have both been Aloe adjacent, right? Because we saw league someone in my server. They gave it. It was 14-point Aloe Momola, which is 8 higher than I put in the thing. You could get another Aloe and a third of an Aloe, a little. Yeah, that's a really big dinner. It's a really big fish dinner. So the duality of man. Do you think Aloe is good or bad? Let me know in the comments below. And then we have Waffler of the Week. Last one. Now, I like the Waffle of the Weeks that are a little bit more silly. and Burger found this super clutch one. Burger, what did you search on Twitter?
I went on Twitter and I typed in Pokemon Draft League.
Yeah, we didn't have a great one because we didn't want to dunk on bad tiers. Like, as silly as 14-point Aloe is, it's just like, we're not going to dunk on it. I like the silly ones. Yeah.
There's a few other ones that we could have done. One of them is just racism.
Yeah,
which is
also not a silly one.
Okay,
okay,
we get it. You're not cool. But
it also seems like it's making light of racism, where it's like,
yeah,
you waffler, stop that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if.
And then there's another one where there's another thing where like the iPro game from week 1, where he was getting lucked a little bit, you know. And totally unprovoked, like the guy was just like having fun talking to his friends in the lobby,
and was like, "Oh,
my
bad."
was like scheming or whatever, and he's like, "Shut up or forfeit."
Yeah, the guy was like, "My bad, man. I'm getting lucky," and he said, "Shut up or forfeit," and the dude went sicko mode and just started talking hella shit. All right, gloves are off. So funny. Ended up beating him, lucking him more, and just being like, "Screw you. That was deserved. I knew I was getting that roll." It was so fire, man. Oh my gosh, that was a silly one. But this one, we have we do have the Waffler of the week. So this is from Kitty Cat Violet 379 as well. I'll link the tweet. It is a very funny tweet. I like it a lot. It's cool Blastoise play I made in a Pokemon Draft League I'm playing in! ! And when they sent this, I was just like, should make it a cool play and draft, and we want to show off on Twitter. I'm here for it. I farm likes on Twitter too sometimes. So I'm gonna go ahead and commentate it. I'll pause throughout. We have at 0-0, Bad Apple clicking recover on presumably a switch into the Terra Ice Hisuian Electrode. Pretty cool stuff. Terra Blast Ice is pretty likely to come out right here, so we see a pivot into Blastoise. Okay, will pivot work? We take the Terra Blast. Little do they know, this is Terrestrial Electric Blastoise. So not only did we pivot in the Ice move, we're going to eat up this Thunderbolt right here, find a free Shell Smash opportunity, and that just might be the game.
It might just be the game.
And it might be the game on the other side. The fact that the clip ends right there, I think was like, this is peak comedic timing. This is like, it's just very funny. It's especially a very cool play I made. And it's just boop, boop. Again, this is I feel like someone put a replay in my like stream replay review, like for stream chat recently, and they were like, mirror tech, and somebody else just commented below, all caps, stop running Shell Smash in Gen 9, please.
Yeah, like I've mentioned multiple times on this podcast and in other places as well, that Shell Smash is banned in SV. You cannot use it, and this is why. This is exactly why.
I just saw the full replay, by the way.
Did you find the full How?
I searched it up.
You just searched it, yeah.
Oh, I guess you could gather their showdown names. I guess that's fair. Did the Electrode win? Or was it
6-0?
Okay, I was gonna say, is it Unaware Clef or no? That dude, this is a very funny tweet. I like this tweet a lot. Shout out to them for being on good support, because I think this is very, very good comedic timing. Very silly. You could like almost hear the boop 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 noise as the other guy gets it, and then the game just ending.
There is a sound effect on the video.
Oh,
I don't know if you heard it.
Oh, is there? I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You have it muted or something?
No, hold on. I turned it up.
Better, yeah.
Oh shit!
So funny.
It's way funnier. This is a very good tweet. I'm gonna like this tweet. This shows
got me kicking my feet.
Tee-heeing and giggling. You know how I do.
The little moments can make things funny.
Dude, yeah. This is a video game after all. But that's pretty much all we have on the list for today. Bird, do you have any parting words, any plugs, any cool stuff like that? Obviously, you're going to be linked down in the description below. Do you want to tell the people why to check you out? Any plans you might have?
Yeah, so I'm currently uploading like highlights, like I got put on this like Overwatch video. I don't want Overwatch. Yeah, Tomathan.
Yeah, great videos.
And they were good videos because I used to play Overwatch. I don't play anymore, so I like could understand the videos. But it's highlighting like best and worst like plays in like Overwatch in the Overwatch League matches. Mm-hmm. So I can't do a 2-hour video because those take way too long. So I've just been doing a game per series. Maybe it's a good game, maybe it's a hacksy game, maybe it's like a really
just something silly,
like something fun. And I've just been going over them. I'm gonna try to do that for every week of the World Cup. So we can have some good entertainment. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe for those, subscribe to Owen, subscribe to L5.
Big.
Got some good content coming on all angles here.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys all watching. Again, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. Sub if you're new. We have our next episode coming out in a couple weeks here, and we'll go over more Draft League World Cup stuff, more BBL stuff, probably watch some fun replays. Appreciate you all coming out. See you guys next time. Later.